Alright, so I'm going to show how to replace the screen on this 13-inch MacBook Air model A1466 early 2015. So you're going to want to use a Pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screwdriver to remove the bottom cover. Alright, and then we're also going to need a T5 and a T8 screwdriver. Alright, so let's remove the screws from the bottom here. You want to keep the screws in order because they are different size, shapes, and lengths, okay? So you don't want to mix them up, excuse me. Alright, so the two middle ones in the back where the hinge are the longest. But again, it's always a good idea to keep them all in order. The way you do that is you just put it in the pattern that you remove them on your desk, and then that way you can put them back in the same order, okay? Just like that. So you make this rectangle shape. Okay. Just like this. Alright. Once you remove all 10 screws from the bottom, go to the back here, just get your fingers in there and then pull this up. There's a clip in the center here holding it to the battery, so it will just pop up like that. And it's pretty dusty and dirty inside here, so I'm actually going to clean this up and I will be back. Alright, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, so I cleaned up the inside. Alright, set that aside. Okay, next what you want to do is take the T5 screwdriver. If you're gonna clean yours up like how I was doing, if you want to be extra safe, you can actually remove the battery first. So what we're gonna do, we're taking out the battery right now. There's 5 screws, but basically I just use a toothbrush, loosen up the dust, and then I use an air blower to blow all the dust out. I use an electric air blower. If you use those compressed air cans, you want to make sure not to press on it too long because those cans, they get really cold, and if you make the components really cold, you can actually get condensation and cause liquid damage to your computer. Okay, so I don't really like using those air cans, but if that's all you got, you can use that. Okay, so we got all those screws out. Alright, so now we're going to lift the battery up. Just lift it up from the bottom here wherever you can. Once you get underneath, I get underneath with my fingers and I kind of rotate it up so that this side comes up first. And then just grab this plastic tab here and kind of wiggle it as you pull it. Alright, just like this. There you go. And the battery disconnects very easily just like that. Okay, I'm going to clean out the dust under here as well. And I will be back again. Alright, so I'm back. Cleaned up the dust under the battery and there. Okay, so now we're going to be removing the screen, but after you remove the battery, before removing the screen, what you want to do, open the screen up like this, press and hold the power button for about 10 to 15 seconds. This will drain any power on the board so that you prevent the risk of damaging the circuits if there's a power surge or you short something out from the capacitors. Alright, so once you do that, let me zoom in a bit so it's easier to see. We're going to disconnect this cable here. I just get my fingernail under this edge of the metal latch here and then just lift it up like that. Alright, once you do that, you can grab the latch and then from the bottom part of the latch, you want to pull it back just like this. Okay, so there we go, got that out. I'm going to flip it over, make it easier to remove the other components. We're going to disconnect the wireless antennas here. So I just get underneath here like this and then just pull up the tails just like that. Same thing with the other one, pull up the tail just like that. Alright, once you get that, you can pull the tails back this way as you kind of lift it up, and that will get it out from the little grooves there. Okay, just like this. Alright, these rubber pieces will get in the way, but just kind of pull the wire out through from underneath. Okay, and there's actually a hidden screw under here, but this screw is if you're going to take out the motherboard. We're not going to be taking out the motherboard, we're just taking out the screen, so we'll leave that be, but we do have to take out this board on the side here. All right, so let's flip this back over. We're going to remove this connector here. I go from like opposite corners like this, and then I just pull this up. You can kind of wiggle it. There we go. Same thing with the other one. Same thing, pull it up like that. Sometimes there's an adhesive, but it looks like this adhesive lost its stickiness. Okay, if it does, you just peel it off. Usually the foam will tear and the adhesive will be stuck on the fan, but this one somehow it got stuck the other way. All right, so we're going to remove the fan from here. So there's 3 screws holding the fan in place. Let's remove those. Again, keep the screws in order because they are different size, shapes, and lengths. You don't want to get them mixed up or you can actually damage your computer putting them back. All right, there we go. And then there's one down here. To remove the bottom screw, we are going to have to disconnect these 2 cables. So just grab this cable as close to the connector as you can, and then you kind of just wiggle it as you pull it. And as you can see, it's slowly coming out just like that. It comes out. All right. Then you got this is for the power connector, this I/O board. All right, and then underneath here, this cable is for the eyesight or the webcam. Okay, so get that cable up. All right, you want to lift it up out of this groove here, and then grab as close to the connector as you can, and same thing, just kind of wiggle it as you pull it, and there you go, it pops out. All right, so move that out of the way. We can remove the last screw for the fan here. Might not actually have to remove the fan, but I'm just removing it just so it's a little bit easier to get this out of the way. All right, we're going to remove this other screw here. This is holding the I/O board in place. Okay, so now we got all of these screws out. Let's disconnect the speaker here. I'm going to zoom in so it's easier to see. So to remove the speaker, what I do is I get my fingernail underneath as close to the connector as I can here, okay, and then I just kind of pop it up like this. There we go. Okay, so then peel this cable out of the way. All right, we actually don't, oh actually yeah, we do have to. Okay, let's peel up this rubber piece here for the fan. Okay, we don't have to take the fan completely out if you don't want to, but you do have to just kind of move it out of the way here. And then what we're gonna do is pull this up slightly so that we can get the eyesight or webcam cable out from underneath, okay? Just like this. All right, and then guide it out here. And you probably actually didn't even have to disconnect the speaker connector actually. So let's see here, do I? Actually, yeah you do, because the, no you don't, because this cable goes underneath. But let's see, I'll try leaving it on so that way if you do this, you can do as little steps as possible. Okay, let me zoom out now. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to open the screen all the way. Be careful with the fan. You don't want to rip that cable there. Okay, so I'm going to get the rubber piece and put it back underneath. Okay, so open the screen all the way, just like this, and then hang it over the edge of your desk. And then you're going to want to switch to the T8 screwdriver and remove the 3 screws from each hinge. Okay. Again, it's nice to keep the screws in order even though these are the same size, but sometimes the threads are a little bit different, so I like to keep them in order anyways. And these I like to also put red thread locker just to make sure that the screws don't come loose. But yeah, all right, so let's remove these 6 screws. I had a couple other customers that were messaging me, so hopefully they're not outside waiting. All right. Okay, once you get those 6 screws out, you can let the screen actually fall completely down, and then that so that it's 90 degrees, and then you can actually push the screen up and out just like this. Okay, now we got the screen out. You can set that aside. Okay, we're gonna get the replacement screen. You want to open the hinges all the way on the replacement screen. If they're not, you can take your screwdriver, put them through one of the screw holes, and then use that to help twist the thing. All right, just like this. All right, just like that. Then what you want to do, make sure these cables remain up. Okay, hold the cables up with your fingers, and then drop the screen into place, just like that. Then you can hold the screen. I use my lap to kind of hold the screen up slightly. Okay, and then what I do is I'll take the screws here, make sure to tuck this back underneath. All right. And then I'll put one screw on each side here. Okay, but not too tight, just to get everything lined up. And then slowly close the screen. Okay, just like this. All right, once you get the screen closed, I like to loosen up the screw here. Okay. And then I use the corners here to make sure that the screen is completely lined up. Okay, just like that. Pinch the corners, make sure everything is lined up. Okay, and then you can tighten back down the screw. All right, same thing with the other side. All right, and this one, because it has the metal bracket on top, I like to put the second one as well, and then tighten it down, so that way that piece doesn't rotate and spin all over the place. Okay, now that we got that, I'm gonna add some thread locker here. Uh-oh, I think my other customer's here. Let's zoom in. Okay, get the screw, put a tiny bit of thread locker on there, just a small amount, and we'll tighten this. And we'll do this with all 6 of the hinge screws. All right, I'll take this screw back out. Uh-oh, customer's here. Okay, I'll be back. I need to answer the door, and then I will continue the video. All right, we'll just do this one. Just like that. Get that screw in. Tighten that in place. Okay, I'll be back. All right, let's continue. Again, we're gonna put the thread locker on these screws. Okay. All right, let's put the thread locker on these. Again, you don't put much of this stuff, it's just a little bit to get into the threads of the screws. Okay. Very little, not even a drop. More like just smearing a little bit on the threads of the screws. Okay. And then we're going to remove this and put the thread locker on the last screw. Alright, there we go. Okay, so we got that done. Let's reconnect all the cables. So we got this cable here. Make sure we put this right side up. So the way you can kind of tell is if you get the old cable here. Uh-oh, someone's calling me. And you want the metal pins facing up. Okay. So give me a second, I'm gonna answer this call and I will be back later. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. So too many calls and texts from customers. Anyway, so you want the metal pins lined up, facing up. I don't know if you can see what I mean. So on the top here, you can see the individual pins. If you flip it over, it's just like this gold metal plate, okay? So you want those metal pins facing up. Make sure line it up. Use the tab to pull it into place and then put the latch down just like that. All right, then we got the cables here. Same thing like before, kind of move the fan up and out of the way. All right, get this cable. If you want, we can remove the fan completely to make it easier. Just flip the little latch up here. Okay, just like that. Once you get that latch up, grab underneath to grab onto the cable from the bottom and then pull it back just like that. All right. Okay, so now this cable is a little bit easier. You can get this into that notch there and then tuck the excess under. You can get this cable lined up, but we're gonna put the screws for the fan back in first. Get the fan in. Actually, it's a little dusty here too, so let's clean that up. Okay. All right. Let's get the fan in. Make sure that latch is still up. Get the cable into place. Right, push the cable in, make sure it's lined up. and then just slide your finger over the top to put that latch down. All right, now what we can do, let's put back the bottom screw and the left screw for the fan first. Okay, so we're going to switch to the T5 screwdriver. We finished with the T8 one. Okay. All right, so let's take the bottom fan screw here, put that in. You want to do this loosely at first just to get all the screws lined up. Okay, you don't want to tighten it all the way down. All right, once you get those two corner screws in, you can kind of pull the fan up against the heatsink here, and then you can tighten them down. Just like that. Once you get those two screws tightened down, you can plug in the eyesight or webcam cable. All right, just line it up like this. Once you get it lined up, take the T5 screwdriver and then push it just like before. Just switch between the wings until it's completely flush. Then you can tuck the rest of the cable down and hide it under there. All right, once you do that, get this other cable, plug that in, just line it up. All right. And then you can pinch the two pieces together, just like that. Okay, shove the cables down in there, and then make sure to pull this connector over. If you want, you can use your charger. So let me get my charger. Make sure it's not plugged into the wall. I have this little adapter that I can use, but just get that, stick the magnet on there, and you can use that to kind of pull this to make sure that the charge port connector stays all the way flush to the edge of the computer, and then we can tighten in these last two screws here. Okay, let's get that screw in, and the last screw here in. Okay, just like that. Okay, and then we're gonna put back this cable. Just line it up. Make sure you put it the right way with the shorter part going this way. Okay, line it up. And then push this one down. There we go. All right, attach the two. Then to make this cable, the wireless antenna, is easier to put, I'm flipping it back over. All right, you can use the T8 to help with this part. So we have to get it back underneath these rubber pieces. So push the cable over and then use one. So I'll use this, you can use two screwdrivers. One to kind of push it over and then another one to help get it underneath. All right, it also helps to kind of pull the rubber piece up so it can go over this piece. Okay, and then you can kind of tuck the rubber piece back over. All right. So we'll just go all the way down. You can tuck this around the screw mount. All right. Then same thing, push the cables in. Make sure to push it into the little slots here. Okay, it helps to get it underneath the two rubber pieces first. Okay, pull that up, there we go. And then you can use the T8 to push the wire into the mounts or into the little slots. Okay, you don't want to use the smaller screwdriver to do that because if you do, you can actually dent these cables and damage them. Okay, if it gets stuck too far, just pull it back out. All right, get it in those little slots. Go. All right, just like that. Keep going down. Guiding the cables, tuck it behind the screw mount again. All right, keep going, and there we go. Okay, so now that we got those antennas all the way, I'm gonna rotate to make it easier for me. All right, line up the screw, or not the screw, the antenna with the antenna connector. You want to make sure you get it completely lined up before putting any pressure because these antenna cables and the connectors are very fragile. Okay, so get it lined up. The way you know it's lined up is once you have it in place, if you kind of slide your finger or nail over it, it stays in place. Then you can push it down just like that. Right, get the other antenna, same thing. Line it up. Let's flip this over and make this easier again. Okay, line this up. Alright, make sure it's flush, and then push it down. Here we go. Alright, so we got all the components back in place. Let's zoom out. We're going to put the battery back in. Make sure to guide the battery connector in while keeping this part up so you don't pull on the cable underneath. Right, pinch the two connectors together. Drop the battery back in place. If you want to test it first, you can just put the middle screw back in first. But it's not too much work, so I'm just going to put all 5 screws in. Right, make sure you have all the connectors in. You have these two, the 2 cables underneath the eyesight camera, and also the power connector, as well as the fan connector here, and then this and the 2 antennas. Okay. All right, let's put back the rest of these screws. Right, we'll snap the connector or the cover back on top. Switch back to the P5. Alright, and we'll put back all the rest of these pentalobe screws. Just like that. Alright. That's pretty much all there is to it. I'm going to clean up the cover because it does have some sticker residue on it. If you want to clean sticker residue off, just use some isopropyl or rubbing alcohol. Alright, and yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. So, oh, there's one more thing. You want to make sure to do a PRAM and SMC reset when changing any major hardware components on these things. I just do it all the time anyways, even whenever I work on them, just because it always, every so often, will help fix some issues. So a lot of times I'll do that even if I don't need to. But anyways, I'll show you how to do a PRAM and SMC reset. Let me get the charging cable. Okay, got that open. All right, I'll be back. All right, so I'm back. We'll plug this in. So if your battery isn't over 90%, it should be orange, the charging cable or charging light. And then to do an SMC reset, what you do is control, oops, let me shut it down first. I'm going to hold the option key just to prevent it from booting up all the way. As you can see, it just stops there. So now I can force shut it off and not worry about it. Okay, so what you're going to do is control option shift on the left side, and then you press the power button. And if you do this right, the light should go to green. I don't know if you can see it in the video, and then it goes back to orange. That's how you know you did a SMC reset properly. Now to do a PRAM reset, you power it on, and the moment it turns on, well, it did it already because it power cycled, but let me turn it off again. So SMC reset actually also power cycles the computer. Sometimes it doesn't turn itself back on, but sometimes it does. Alright, so to do a PRAM reset, you press the power button, and then immediately after do Command Option PNR, and you just hold that. So let me do that, like that. Alright, you'll hear the chime. If your sound is muted, it won't make the chime, but you'll see the computer, the screen will come up and then flash off real quick. And then you'll hear the chime a second time. And that's how you know you did the PRAM reset properly. So there you go. If you want, you can keep holding the buttons until you hear the second chime. In some cases, it might chime a third time, which is fine. It's just doing the PRAM reset over and over again until you let go. But that's pretty much it. So everything looks good. I can actually see what's on the screen now. I don't want to show the whole username and everything, but that's all there is to it. Hopefully this video helped you. If it did, please like and subscribe. Help others find my videos. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. If you want to see how to clean the screen, I'm going to do that right now. So to clean the LCD, you don't want to use any chemicals. I just use water, okay? But you don't want to use too much, so let me show you here. So you just get some water on a piece of paper, and what you want to do is kind of squeeze the paper. Make sure that you can see water's dripping out. You don't want water to drip out of it, okay? So make sure you squeeze it enough that no water will drip out. I'm going to just dry this off, all right? And then when you make sure, after you make sure that it's to the point where no water will drip off, you can get the screen and you can wipe it like this, okay? So that's all you need. You just need water. If it is kind of greasy and water doesn't work, then you'll have to use something like rubbing alcohol, but you don't want to use too much. You can use like a lighter rubbing alcohol, like 70% or less. And make sure again that you're not having it drip. And when you clean it, you want to just clean it lightly. You don't want to rub too hard. Otherwise, you can strip the anti-glare coating. They had 2 MacBooks and one of them had really bad, like the anti-glare coating was coming off, most likely because they were cleaning it with chemicals. So here you can see it's a lot better than before. But if it's still greasy, yeah, you can just use rubbing alcohol, okay? So I'm just gonna leave it like the water marks. It's like a lot better. But if you want it completely clean, you can also use rubbing alcohol. But be careful with the screen. On the back here, you don't have to worry about rubbing alcohol damaging anything. But yeah, you can clean it with the water first, okay? And then after that, I'm just gonna use the same paper and just spray rubbing alcohol on it, okay? And since this doesn't have any issues, if liquid gets in it, you can go ahead and kind of get it all soaked, but you don't want to like drip it into like other components like the back of the laptop or the Apple logo. Okay, so you want to be careful, but as you can see, if I keep rubbing the sticker area with the rubbing alcohol, it's slowly coming out. Okay, so just do that and just keep cleaning it. Alright, but that's pretty much it. Hopefully this video helped you. If it did, like, subscribe, help others find my videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!